Baseball in the Boroughs is brought to you by Verizon. With my plan, get exactly what you want and only pay for what you need. Last night, the Yankees lost to the Orioles, but they have won 6 of their last 10. So let's check in with New York Post baseball writer Dan Martin to get you guys an update on all things Yanks. Dan, thanks for joining us. A lot of news, or you've been writing about a lot of news coming out of the Bronx. So let's start with the third base situation. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa started there on Tuesday. Josh Donaldson got the start on Wednesday night. And as we all know, DJ LeMahieu has started there before. So who do you think has produced enough recently to become the full-time starter?
Well, Brandon, I think that's the problem. Nobody's really produced from that position consistently. But they like Donaldson. As long as he's healthy, I think they're going to continue to give him time. He shows little bursts of power. He hit another home run last night. So he hardly gets any hits, but when he does, they're usually home runs. He's played pretty good defense. He made a good play last night. They've got a lot of money invested in him. So, if he's healthy and available, I think they're going to keep going with him. They value Kiner-Falefa's versatility more than they want to just keep him at third base. Last night he was in center field and made a nice play to rob Aaron Hicks of an extra base hit. And, LeMahieu, they like his versatility as well, the ability to play second base, but he hasn't been hitting at all. So I think for now, they're going to try to run Josh Donaldson out there and see if they can get him going a little bit more consistently.
All right, every Yankee has been on Aaron Judge watch. So this next question, give us the goods on it. He's been doing some catching and some light hitting, but it still seems like he's a long ways away from running. Surgery hasn't been ruled out, and that's according to Judge, but that wouldn't come to the offseason. So what's the update on Aaron Judge?
I think he's just trying to be realistic about the expectations. He doesn't want to set himself up to have a setback or anything like that. The organization seems pretty confident that he'll be back. They're very adamant about not putting a timeline on it, but they seem optimistic that he's going to be able to be back at some point in the second half and be productive and the guy they need him to be in the middle of that lineup. From his perspective, he just doesn't want to get pinned into a corner of saying I expect to be back a week after the All-Star break or something like that. I think he's just being kind of realistic, really. He's dealt with injuries before. He knows that coming back from them can be tricky. He talked previously about dealing with a pinky issue for a couple of years. I talked to a doctor who said the way this is progressing and the things that he's been able to do in the months since he got hurt are actually a good sign that things are healing and heading in the right direction. So I would think that Judge will be back at some point in the second half. And, obviously the Yankees need him, and they need him to be Aaron Judge because the offense is, has struggled without him.
Well, I'm glad you talked about the offense struggling. You actually have a trending article up on the New York Post website about Anthony Rizzo and his power drought. Aaron Boone said they need more from Rizzo. So what do you think the cause of the drought is, and what's Rizzo saying about it?
Well, that's the problem, Brandon, is that no one's quite sure what the problem is, what the cause of it is. He had a neck injury earlier in the year, and that definitely robbed him of some power and production. He says the neck is fine. There's no lingering issues, and the Yankees are confident that is the case. But he hasn't homered in over a month now, which is crazy for him, especially because he plays in Yankee Stadium with his left-handed swing. You would think he would just run into one at least once a week, but it's been over a month now, and that would be distressing no matter what was going on. But without Judge in the middle of the lineup and without Giancarlo Stanton really doing much, they desperately need Anthony Rizzo to be Anthony Rizzo, and he's getting on base and doing things like that, but they need more power from him. So he talked last night about, making some mechanical adjustments and being frustrated. He talked about a couple of balls being close at Fenway Park and other balls getting caught in the wind. But look, he's Anthony Rizzo. When he gets a hold of one, they don't hit the top of the fence and they don't get caught in the wind. They go, into the upper deck. So Aaron Boone thought he saw some good things last night in both batting practice and some of Rizzo's at bats. So they're just going to continue to work with him and hope he snaps out of it. But it's gone on a lot longer than anyone could have predicted.
So even after everything we've talked about, droughts and Aaron Judge being out, the Yankees are still 6-4 in their last 10, and they're still only a couple games behind Baltimore in the early wild card race. So I need you to give us an early prediction. Will this team make the postseason?
Yeah, I'm very confident they'll make the postseason. Before last last night, they were closing in pretty fast on the Orioles. So I expect them to catch Baltimore at some point here. And look, Tampa Bay, they got off to that crazy good start. They've now lost 4 in a row. They're coming back down to earth a little bit. If the Yankees can get a little bit healthier, obviously getting Judge back in the second half, I wouldn't even rule out them catching the Rays. They're still a good team. They're going to make some moves before the trade deadline. They're getting Carlos Rodon back on Friday, who's going to be a huge boost to the rotation. So, and Nestor Cortez will come back in the second half. I think they've got some holes. I don't know how well they'll do in the postseason, but I don't think there's any doubt that they'll make it to the playoffs. And if not, then there's a whole other can of worms that we'll have to talk about.